Hello, it's Ciara Myst, and it's time to go behind the scenes. Every week, we're breaking down the who, the what, and the how we made all of my looks for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 18. Category is Runway Red Carpet Mashup. Is it a mashup? To be determined. You saw most of my thought process in the workroom while I was creating this look. Trying to figure out how to combine the iconic Britney Spears denim moment with Lady Gaga's even more iconic meat dress was certainly a creative challenge. However, this silhouette and this sketch was actually something I had designed several years before Drag Race. In preparation, I revisited some of my silhouette sketches to make sure they were fresh on my mind, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity to bring this sort of Philip Tracy, avant-garde, retro, Mugler-ish silhouette to life. Here's where things got a little tricky. I was not in charge of the materials, and to create a dress like this, it needs structure, it needs strength, it needs sturdiness. Now, there is boning available to us, but I was excited about working with denim because a heavier weight denim means that it's gonna have structure built into it. The denim that we got was more of like a lightweight, stretchy denim that you might have in like a scene pair of jeans. That wasn't necessarily gonna hold its weight, and the coloring in it was not something I was ultimately satisfied with. This meant in the last like 30 minutes of the day, I had to take the dress that I had been sewing and patterning all day out to the spray paint booth and use spray paint to get it to look a little bit more like denim. I wanted that sort of acid washed look in something that would contour the body, and I wish I had my airbrush. Well, what I actually wish is that I was able to bleach this denim. Denim is such a cool fabric and material because it can hold so many different types of textures and treatments. And when I asked for bleach, I was told no because I might poison the other girls, which I think is hilarious. Not a bad rule. Ultimately, I'm so glad that I took that dress out at the last minute to spray paint it because it was one of the things that Ru immediately noticed that made my dress look more like denim. Other than the structure, all of the meat texture is actually a very simple technique. Pulling on a stretch fabric can sometimes get it to roll in on itself, and I knew that if I slashed and scored all of these different pieces and pulled it, it would create this sort of stringy, gross meat texture. Layering the same pattern over itself twice, but having the top layer be pulled and textural, meant that I would get this sort of ground beef raw texture. While I love what I created on the runway, I knew that maybe with a little bit of a different denim and a little bit more time, I could deliver something that I was really proud of. Coming home, I challenged myself to recreate this look in a day, so I gave myself a few more hours. And this time I had bleach. Tailoring the pattern even more fiercely, using boning to add structure and using bleach, I created this more distressed version of my meat dress. But I wanted to honor the original design that I wore on the runway. One of my favorite details that I actually made the morning of the runway is this mystery meat tag. I took the styrofoam meat container that our fabric was delivered in and designed my own meat tag because I knew I was serving grade A design. In the final moments before walking the runway, I got to see it all on and I felt so good about what I had made. But I knew that what would take it over the top is tying myself up in this meat twine and hot gluing it so it stayed in place. So that way when I walked across the runway, I was able to serve scary, spooky fashion model. And I did. I loved getting critiques from the judges, especially since they were fierce, good critiques. Thank you, La Roche. And being in the top just felt so correct. These photos were shot by Eric Richard Magnuson, and I helped to build this entire sort of meat locker, cooler set for us to play around in. The photos look sickening. I gotta stand by what I made on the runway, but my redesign is off the hook, the meat hook.